There's two things I'm here to talk to y'all about. There's actually three things I'm here to talk to y'all about. The first thing is superdupersouth.com. Please go on there, buy some merch. Times are hard. We're trying to buy go-karts around here. And if you want to feed a racer a new go-kart, just buy some merch. Second thing, reflections. Do you ever reflect on your Seans? The specific thing we're going to reflect on our Seans is going to be the World 100. Third thing, ouch, bubble gum. I do like bubble gum. I like a good ouch every now and then. You know what I'm saying? So we're just going to get started and run through here. The flavors really run out fast on these, so let's get to work. Let's reflect. And please hit the like and the subscribe and hype the video. I need more hypes. I've got too much crap in here. Way too much junk. I guess it's only proper if we reflect on the things that are good. First reflection is Top Shelf Trailer, Smart Flasher. He sponsored the ride for the 100, brand new freaking Prodigy Rogue. Couldn't ask for a better piece, loaded down with Cadillac parts. And I ain't talking about a Cadillac converters. Had good stuff. Cart was not the problem. Second good reflection is Mr. Mitchell Staats for Firewater Chemicals, Firewater Preps, Firewater Motorsports. He just likes fire and he likes water. He sponsored all of our entries of that. So we got to give a big shout out to them, because without them, I don't know if I'd have had the money to run this race or the proper equipment to run this race. Because as you know, we don't blame it on ourselves. We blame it on the go-kart manufacturer. And if we can't blame it on them, we'll blame it on the freaking motor manufacturer. If I can't blame it on the motor, I'll blame it on the daggone tires. It ain't my fault. That's the bottom line. We'll get to that reflection right now. Just kidding. We're going to put carts together while we reflect. You're in there. Probably one of my favorite things about this go-kart I noticed right out the gate, it is full of chop house titanium. I've never even seen this stuff in person. Look at that. Light, bad to the bone, and it is loaded down with almost every part on this go-kart is chop house titanium. And that's why whenever Chop House Titanium called me and said, hey, we want to sponsor you a craft load of titanium because we know you're probably getting another go-kart soon, and we know you like titanium, I was super stoked that, you know, they're our new sponsor, one of our new sponsors. And that's why this comment of the day is brought to you by Chop House Titanium, the king of titaniums. And we're going to touch base with this titanium guy on the next shop video when we load it down on a new go-kart. Cheers. Question of the day coming up. Chop House Titanium. Get some. Good question for question of the day. It's by no other than Dave Long Racing _28. That's a good number, Dave. I like 28 myself. Mr. Dave Long, he asks, do you run nitrogen in your tires all the time? Speaking of old tires, I've been running 2018 since 2021. You got any burrs? No, Mr. Dave, I do not have any burrs because I live in America. Okay. And here in the state of Florida, America, they don't do no burst racing for some odd reason. I don't really understand the reason, but there is a reason. As far as nitrogen goes, I keep a bottle in the trailer, and that's actually argon in my trailer, and it's empty, and I quit running. I just run air. The reason why it seems like I struggle when I try to like run something that doesn't build air, when the tires hit, sometimes the air might just remain a little low, and it gets that little bite, a little too much bite, so I just run that oxygen. No, we don't run nitrogen. Now, let's get on with the rest of the show. One thing that came out of this year's World 100 is learning. I learned a crap load, and I'm about to explain it, so please hold your horses. We're getting there. I just started the episode. Going for Friday night. We're talking the Friday night shootout. We're going to take this thing step by step, people. One step at a time. I'm going to give you guys what I learned, and hopefully some of y'all can relate to them. Like, oh, that makes sense, Bobby. We did the same thing, Bob, and his go-kart did exactly what ours did. We didn't think about it. I'm here for Bobby. Friday night shootout. Scaling the cart, we pretty much ran standard numbers, okay? I called the Donnie Knowles. He told me the standard numbers. The problem is I didn't really listen to the Donnie Knowles. I went against Donnie Knowles, let's just say his camber area, okay? We're just going to start off with that. Friday night, the biggest problem that I had, now this is after sleeping on it Saturday morning, like 2 o'clock, talking to Coon Dog. The camber is adjusted by 2 3/4 inch wrenches, and there's a gauge. Happen to just keep one in my pocket all the time. It's called a camber gauge. You know, you adjust camber, put a little this way, put a little this way. Well, I was putting more camber in the right front cage. Pretend this camber gauge is your spindle. I was going more that way. The reason I've done that, I was thinking Friday night shootout. track's gonna be off a little bit. I need some stable control. Why I would do a 1.5 degrees, I don't know, because I personally never done more than 3 of the quarters. We ran a 1.5 degrees. And to be honest with you, beginning of the day, Friday night, it felt marvelous. I could really just feel that right rear dig coming out the corner. Felt good. But with that being said, you will notice actually in one of my qualifying videos, or actually the Friday night qualify shootout video at the end, I say this thing sure is hopping a bunch.
This thing was bouncing on the racetrack, though, I know that.
Going down the straightaway. So just to explain that to you, take all this with a grain of salt. I'm obviously not a karting guru here, but we are learning, and like-minded folks here. I'd like to say all my viewers are like-minded to me. We're learning. We don't have the Connells. We don't have the TJ Newtons. We don't have the Jerry Mullises. We've got, you know, expenses. So we can't afford to pay somebody thousands and thousands of dollars, and it kind of takes the fun out of it anyways. But what I learned, when I put that right front camber to it, had that little bit of P-Town sit down, make the Polaca Joker's jaws drop. The more I tilted that thing on the right front, more camber, more degrees I put in her. All that did was load up the right rear, okay? It put me like this right here, I believe. Now tell me if I'm wrong. We got to start over. I mean, my Lord, I'm so backwards here. I'm an idiot. Really, when I was saying right front camber, what I meant was left front camber. Today, you see, is opposite day here in Lawdy. We celebrate it once a week. So really, I put more camber in the left front, which did the same thing. You know, it pushed that thing on over like this right here, because it's a left front, not a right front. I wasn't thinking straight, okay? I put more, 1.5 degrees left front camber in the go-kart, as in, this is your left front, this is your L block. I went this way with it. To about, I would say something, yeah, like that right there. Yeah, 1.5 degrees, yeah. And when I did that, what that does is it loads up the right rear, okay, which gives it plenty of drive off exit, but with too much, after sleeping on it and using basic physics, along with talking to Chat PP, I figured out I may have loaded the right rear a little too much, which would have been the reason why I was going on the straightaway, this thing was doing this right here. I push it down the grid and want to shoot to the left, okay? I just had too much camber in it. I knew that's what my issue was on Friday night. Along with another issue, I did something else I've never done. I rolled a tire 120 cc's, which is a lot of cc's, okay? I made a lot of C's in schools, made a lot of B's, but never 120 cc's. Actually, while we're talking about the cc's, let's just grab this thing. These are our 120 cc's, and these were rolled about a week old. I had some 90 cc's. They're about a 1.5 weeks, 2 week old. If I'd have done the same thing in them 90s, I believe they would have been a little better. Now, give or take, we only missed it by a couple spots. There was a lot of go-karts. There are a lot of stiff competitions, what they say. Really stiff people. I'm not that stiff. A little loosey-goosey, but we're getting a little stiffer. Getting my old bones creaking. Either way, we ain't wiped this thing in probably 3 or 4 days, I'd say, and it still feels soft. So just out of curiosity, let's just see what it's punching. 50. So these things are oh, that's like 47, 48. I mean, even to be that soft still, not been wiped, pretty deep tire. So no doubt, Friday night shootout, problem number 1, too much camber. Problem number 2, too many C's in school. Okay, made too many C's, look at me now. I don't even have a career set here. I don't know what's going on in my life. Problem number 3 was not me. Brian called himself
You blame Brian.
I'm blaming Brian Green. As y'all know, we do not wash our go-kart with the hubs or rear axle installed. Why? Because I don't want to get water and dirt in them. These things are so cheap. I mean, even if you just got a little bit of patience, you know what I mean? You can search the interwebs and you can find these front hub bearings for like $0.05 a piece. Can't use pennies or they quit making them. They only accept nickels. Look at that titanium. This thing, I told y'all it's loaded with the Chop House titanium. Be looking forward to the next shop video. We are gonna do a whole go-kart in titanium, and then we're gonna weigh it all, figure out the weight difference. We're gonna look at it. We're gonna quality control. We're gonna shoot it with tannerite. We will be delivering this go-kart back to Marquise of the Flashers, AKA Trailer Trash Inc., AKA Top Shelf Trailers, AKA a really good friend of mine. We were trying to buy it, but you know, he's a little steep on the price. It's just what I'm saying, Mark, you're a little steep on the price. So we found another 25 Prodigy Rogue. Some of y'all may have seen on my Facebook, if y'all keep up with me like that, where y'all, subscribe to the Facebook page or the TikTok page, or, this here YouTube page is one of my personal favorites. Y'all like the YouTube. I like YouTube as well. Y'all would see where I was looking for sponsors for a new go-kart. After driving the Rogue, there's no doubt in my mind, I've not drove a Cadet, but I don't even want to give it a chance. I know a lot of people prefer the Cadets over the roads, but every adjustment I made on this thing throughout the weekend, I felt it. I felt a difference, whether it was tire adjustment, front end adjustment, whatever. Now, did I adjust myself into an ass whooping? Maybe I did. Okay, maybe I adjusted too much, but the fact is I felt the adjustments. So I'm buying a Charger Prodigy Rogue. And if you keep up with my social media platforms, which I try to write on and communicate with my peoples regularly, you would see where I was looking for sponsors to help me fund a new go-kart. Hey, it's Christmas time. I got cheering. I can't just buy go-karts, not get cheering nothing for Christmas. I got three head cheering. I live my life like Dale Earnhardt. I literally had 3 kids because I love Dale Earnhardt. That has nothing to do with anything. But I was inquiring sponsorship. That's what I was doing. And that's where obviously the Chop House titanium comes into play, because they sent me every freaking piece of titanium I need, the titanium that sap sucker out. And that's the bottom line there. But also a good friend, Mike Honcho. That's what they call him around the racetrack. He's a honcho type of guy. Better known as Jack Blankenship. Also better known as his pop's asphalt business, Blankenship Asphalt, which we'll post a picture or logo right here with their number. And they're out of High Springs, Florida. Blankenship Asphalt. If you're looking for asphalt, you're looking to kick some ass. You call Blankenship ass whooping asphalt. Blankenship Asphalt. They're racers, they're bad to the bone, and they sponsored me pretty good. Also reflecting on Tough Friday night, the same issue I had with me, I did with him. I loaded his go-kart with left front camber. And you know, he's really the tell. He was the reason I figured out where we went wrong. Because going down the chute, my big homies, Thug Life, aka Coondog, aka Josh, said, look, man.
We need some off-camera conversation.
Him going down the straightaway, he awfully is darty. And that's when we kind of figured out, okay, we've got camber issues, because I felt the same exact thing when I was going on the straightaway. Not only did we have too much camber on him, he did make the race first time in Junior 2. You got to give him that. You got to give it. Just give it to him, okay? He made it. Go in there, look. Not only did I miss him on camber, I also had him on too old of a tire, probably a little too high on air, and we just missed it. But you know what? He made the race. He was happy as could be, and we went on the Saturday. Saturday, the big kahunas, okay? The one that everybody cares about. No one really cares about Friday. They care about Saturday. Some people care about Friday. You know what I mean? If they're a Friday type person. I myself like Saturdays, because you don't actually have to work on Saturdays. You just kind of sleep in a little bit. But not at a go-kart track. They make you wake up at 4 in the morning because they're plumb retarded. It's a great thing. I love it so much. I live for that life, you know. Our friends, A&M Fiberglass. They sent me a couple bodies. We actually got a bad to the bone glittery one on Tuff's cart, the junior driver. But I told him to send me a black one for myself. And I said, look, the reason I want it black, because, you know, we're going to paint it anyways. That's what I'm coming to people about. What kind of paint scheme? We're about to drop this thing off at Convict Custom Art, a.k.a. Shantytown Hot Rods, a.k.a. Kevin Craig's. Drop a comment. How would you like to see this thing painted? And also, thank you, A&M Fiberglass, for sending us, you know, a couple more bodies. One thing I will say special about this one, though, he got it like damn near a pound lighter than your standard nose. I said, look. He's like, dude, what's your problem? You know what I'm saying? What the hell's wrong with you? Why are you yelling at me? I mean, I sent you like 6 bodies so far. I don't know, Bob, that's like $1,000 worth of bodies. Why are you yelling at me here at the phone? Matter of fact, if you come to Wisconsin, I'm going to slap you in the mouth with some cheddars, is what he said. Not money, cheese. He's going to hit me in the head with a block of cheese. But I said, my friends, A&M Fiberglass, Mr. A&M, this nose has to be performance specialized. I want you to shave about 20 pounds off of it. He said that's impossible because they don't even weigh 20 pounds. So it'd be like a negative. Hey, I can't do that. I can shave half pound, you know, 3/4 pound. 2/3 of a pound, maybe a pound. And I said, well, do it, because the good thing about those bodies, they are hand laid, which means they can be a little thinner because they're stronger. Just like there's only a few bodies out there like that, but they're one of them. That's hand laid bodies. So, you know, he did a minus hand lay and he made it lighter for me. Drop your comment. What would you like to see it painted? I'm getting aggravated. Around here. But I will show you this too, because I ain't done talking about it. I ain't done talking about that body. I don't care if y'all want me to be done talking about it. They sent me t-shirts. We're going to get on with the reflections. Come Saturday, we figured out our camber problem. We throw her back on the scales. We take some camber out of it. We go from 1.5 degrees on the left front to 1/2 degree, which is what Donnie Knowles told us. Now, take that in mind too. When somebody smarter than you tells you what to do, if you don't do it, that just means you're a hardcore idiot. You must be a hardcore idiot. Somebody tells you something smart, you just listen to them. Now, where's my Allen wrench? So now that our hardcore idiot days were over, we listen to Big Don. Papa Donnie's what I call him. I've never called him that. when I'm gonna call up there randomly, say, hey, Papa Don, and then just hang up. He's like, who the hell was that guy? We go to Papa Don's camber adjustment, 1/2 degree. Automatically, I did feel it get off the right rear, and I, did not drive quite as good off the corner, but as the day went on, that got better, so that wasn't a problem anymore. But one thing I did notice, I could push it down the grid. I had no issues. The cart was not wanting to dive to the center. When I'm going down the straightaway, I wasn't, driving a Buick. I was back to driving a Cadillac. You know what I'm saying? Floating down the road like a 1996 Cadillac El Dorado. They like to float. Outran the law back in 99 with one. Just kidding. I was barely driving. I really wasn't even driving yet. But we were back to floating down the chute. But this is where my race car friend comes in, because this is probably one of the biggest things I learned about the weekend. I decided the track was off. It was overcast. Y'all seen the race. I'm going to take a washer across out this thing. The problem with that is I took a washer across out the right front, which means I raised that right front spindle. Automatically, I may have took actually like 2 washers across out to get it down to like 67%, 68%. The problem with that is, and this is where Coon Dog comes into play, AKA Thug Life. I raised that right front spindle. I come off the track and like, Thug Life, talk to me, baby. You've worked on late models. You've went to Mars with Scott Bloomquist. Tell me, what have I done here? And he looks at it, takes a sip of his little drink he's been sipping on since the night before. He steps back. He actually takes the coonskin cap off my head and puts it on like it was some sort of thinking cap.
We need some off-camera conversation.
He took the cap, put it on. He looks at it. And he looks at the other side. He looks at that spindle. He got really low. He was like looking up at it with his eyes squinched and glasses. It's real weird. And then he just kind of walked away. Didn't say a word. He just walked away with my coonskin cap. So at this point, I'm pissed. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I just met him this weekend. He's already just stole my cap. So he comes back and he said, Papa Laganda from way down yonder. I'm like, what? What'd you just call me? He says, you see here, and he turned the go-kart around just like this right here. He says, I found out your problem. You see here, when you took this cross out the go-kart, you raised the spindle up, therefore taking the right front out the racetrack. I said, that makes no sense. My percent says this. He said, I don't care what your percent says. Ignore that. He said, you ain't got no shocks, you big dummy, you hardcore idiot. That really pissed me off. My daddy's the only one I let call me that. He says, you see here, you raised the spindle up. Okay, you're taking it out the racetrack. You ain't got no shocks. And he said, what you need to do is you need to lower that thing back down. So with Thug Life, it's going to raise the crazy. I don't care about cross. Put it back down. Take 2 washers out of it. Don't even put it back on the scales, and that's going to solve your problem. So I did it. Sure enough, that thing probably had like 71% cross in it. I don't know. All I know is it made me look at these things total different, as in, if I do take cross out, I'm going to be very particular on, do I take cross out the right front, which will raise the right front spindle, or will I take cross out the left front, which will lower the left front spindle? So it's like a big deal here. And it almost does make me think, hell with that cross number. Put this thing at 3 and 3 or whatever Charger recommends and just leave it there and mess with other parts of the go-kart. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You drop your comment now. When you mess with cross, does that come in your equation? Does that come in your thought process to as if whether you should take the cross out the left front or the right front? Please drop a comment right after you hype the video, because I know you ain't hyped it yet. Everything I'm doing here, telling you all these secrets, you cannot simply just press the hype button or simply press the like button. There's always one of you that like to press the dislike button. It's got to be the same one. I swear if I find out, I'm going to come to your house, I'm going to put dog poop in a paper bag, I'm going to light it on fire, and I'm going to knock on your door, and I'm going to stand there. I'm not even going to run. I'm going to stand there and then watch you step in my dog's poop. So after Thug Life had chapped my ass, stole my coonskin cap, called me a hardcore idiot, and explained the front end of a go-kart to me, we got the go-kart situated. We got it figured out. We figured out, put the freaking spindles at standard. Don't go crazy with the left front camber unless you can feel it. And I do recommend that to anybody. If you've never done that, I recommend just throwing 1.5 degrees in your go-kart, go out there and drive it, come back in, put 0.5 degree in the left front, and you tell me you can't feel the difference, which will then tell you when you're at a racetrack and you feel that nose shoving, maybe it's not a bad idea to put a little camber in the left front to help it get on that right rear a little bit and drive off the corner. It's also made me think on that Premier, this has been mentioned to me that I should go more camber in the left front with it, because that go-kart is definitely a stiffer go-kart. And there's a few things I will show y'all shortly that I've noticed different from the Premier and this Charger Prodigy Rogue, which might explain why the Prodigy Rogue was a little more friendly to me on one of these Florida you know, tracks that's got clay on it that's 100 years old. You might as well just call it dirt. We'll get to that shortly. But after we had figured out the go-kart situation, we go into qualifying. On qualifying, we qualified for the regular heavy 70-something go-karts. We missed it by, I think, 5 spots. So we knew we were close. Was not stressing it. Came off the track, whatever. We're getting there. We're making movement. We're going forward. We are not, at that point, we were not striking with anything aggressive, just kind of like something like a Donnie Knoll Black Edge, or maybe like a Firewater. I think they got something that's similar to that, like a Black Bite or something like that, or FTS Black Bite, Black Sand Hot Lap Acrosol, something along the realms of that. Well, Tough goes out for his regular Junior 1, and he's sawing at the wheel like he's chucking some wood. So we then decide we've got to get this young lad into the racetrack. And this is where this theory comes into play. The sun was out a little bit. It had been overcast all day, but at that moment of time, the sun was out. For whatever reason, we struck his tires with GOAT. And when I tell you he went from being a last place go-kart, he qualified 6 out of 30 against some of the best Junior 1s around. That's exactly what happened. Same prep, except for he struck it one time with GOAT. Now, this goes back to me being a hardcore idiot. I'm going to explain that too here in a second. Before I had went to the races, and I'd never heard this theory, and I doubted this theory 100%. I did not take it serious. Our old buddy Cass calls me. Oh God, I got to find that. He calls me. He discussed his tires. And one thing he told me, I did not listen. He said, look, if the sun's out, strike it with GOAT. Whatever, old man. You know, kind of that attitude I had. But if it's overcast, you strike it with Krug. And to me, that just made no sense. So you're telling me it could be sunny for an hour and go overcast, and then you're saying just a few minutes overcast, I need to strike Krug? Makes no sense. Well, I didn't listen to Kaz, and I also didn't take the conclusion that we just struck it with GOAT for Tough, and he freaking went out there and bit up on the track. As the day goes on, we did not strike nothing else with GOAT. Just going to throw that out there. Sun goes down. Well, it's getting time for World 100 qualifying. It's overcast, everything else. At this point, we're still not striking anything. It's got our same prep, pretty fresh tire, and it's just like the same thing, Black Bite or something like that. Black Edge, whatever you want to call it, nothing. And we missed it by 6 spots. We go back out for the second qualify, still not thinking. We pound them a little bit harder. We pumped a little air to it. Dude, you know, I know it's going to be loose, but pump me another half pound of air. Maybe we'll get the roll speed we need. And we also changed the driver and gear, which did help. And that got us where we are 3 spots out from making the World 100. At this point, Brian makes the call going into the consi. We are now going to do our same thing on tires. But right before you go out, I'm going to burn in a coat of Krug. Okay, it's overcast out. You know, it's starting to get late. Something's just telling me it's time for the Krug. So that's what we did. When I tell you in that consi, that thing was 6/10 faster than anybody. The consi, it was 6/10 faster than anybody. And this is the part I don't want to reflect on. So I'm going to step away for a second and think about how I'm going to handle this reflection, because I'm ashamed of myself. No driver wants to admit his mistakes. If y'all seen in the consi race, I got up the 3rd in a jiffy. Okay, I was in the race. All I had to do was stay in 3rd. Now I've got a dadgum one of them lollipop gangs in front of me, and I threw it off underneath them. Threw them off on this lollipop right here. He ain't like your standard lollipop. This lollipop's got a little skill behind him. This lollipop's, can I say, he's a little bit of a dirty driver like myself. I can't say much there. I know I'm kind of dirty, you know what I mean? I've met my match. That's what I'm getting to. So I go underneath this lollipop. And he looks right at me, as you can see in the video, and he chomps down on me. Automatically, I'm pissed off at this guy, because I've had some troubles with him in the past to him. He's a little chopper. He's a little, that's what we're going to call him, old El Chapo. That's what I like to call him. I actually called him that one time. He didn't hear it. I whispered it when I said bye, but I said, El Chapo. Anyway, he chopped down on me, so that automatically pissed me off. It made me freaking pissed. At that point, you're already lost. If you ever been in a go-kart, anything racing, once you let your emotions take over underneath that helmet, buddy, you might as well run into the fence, because you're done. You cannot think straight. You can't, nothing will go right at that point. Once you let your attitude come in there, it's over. I got to get a hammer. So at this point, I am indeed pissed off. Chopped down on me. So next corner, I'm like, I'm about to send this guy for the ride of his life. Another rookie mistake of mine. Instead of plowing into his left rear, I kind of got into his bumper, and he also is, you know, this has been in this situation enough, he gets on the brakes and he sends us both up there like a freaking train, which then causes me to go towards the back in a full-fledged panic. So now I'm like sitting 6th or 7th. I'm thinking, I'm not going to make the 100. I'm freaking out at this point, literally freaking out. Emotions are high. And I'm still mad at him because it was his fault that he hit on the brake and did not let me take him out. Why would he not just let me take him out, kind of thing? You know what I'm saying? So I make my way through the field. I get back to this little rascal again. I think I'm sitting P5 at this time. And he's underneath P4, and I believe he's sitting P3. At the moment, I didn't realize that there was a guy on the right side of him. So I throw that son of a gun underneath him again. I get about halfway down 3 and 4. I'm under him. I'm like, all right, about to just get rid of this dude, door him. He's out of here. He can cry to his mom and pop, and then brother-in-law, whatever, you're gone. Well, little did I know, you got Freight Train Bobby on the right side of him, just plowing down just as hard as he could plow down. And you got Austin Hill, he's plowing down too. 2 against 1 never really works out. I've been there, okay? It never works out in your favor. There's no such thing as these Hollywood scenes where you just beat up 2 people or, you know, 1 go-kart going against 2 ever wins. So I ultimately get pushed down, looped. I'm pissed off, ready to fight at this point until I seen the footage. You know, and that's where it all goes down. The lesson learned there was patience. Not only patience, also not letting your attitude reflect with your driving. If I would have just calmed down at the gate, when I go to get underneath him, he chopped down, back drawn off like I did. The next corner, I should have just followed him out the turn, got underneath him as soon as the X turn, which he then again would have chopped off, which at that point, probably just could have turned right and looped him in the traffic and somebody would have got hurt and I'd have been the bad guy. So maybe, you know, God's got a will in a way. Maybe that's the only reason this didn't happen. We're done reflecting. I don't want to talk about that no more. I don't want to talk about it no more. I'm being honest with you. I'm still a little butthurt about it. This ain't moonshine. This is Palmetto High Bite, which is pretty much like Hot Lap 2 or Corner Speed or something, if I had to guess, something similar to that. What I'm getting to is quite possibly the most important thing I learned about this whole experience was Preston tried telling me, Preston Sparks, Brian Green tried telling me, Cass tried telling me, a lot of people tried telling me. Sometimes you got to stick with the basics. I have wiped so much crazy bad word stuff, just got it completely away from everything I'd done in the past. Going into the 100, all we wiped pretty much was either freaking hot lap or this stuff. And like I said, I don't even know how much of a difference there is. And I felt that difference. I do think that some chemicals are good for a tire as far as firing something off or something at the racetrack. But I'm starting to learn, at the house, you better just wipe up something normal, whether it's Hot Lap, whether it's Yellow Crush or Palmetto Hard. I mean, every chemical company's got some kind of hard track, you know, just conditioner prep. Now, I might wipe more than I used to, but there's one thing I learned. When it comes to wiping at the house, you can just about bet I'm going to be wiping something pretty standard. Something clear, maybe a little bit of yellow in it, and I ain't talking about the goat piss, okay? Tires seem to feel better. The Duro seems to stay better. And I, honest to God, think that has been a thorn in my side for the last few months was the fact that at the house, I'm trying to wipe all these crazy chemicals rather than sticking with the basics. I don't know, dude. I wish I knew how to make this stuff. I bet this crap, this and Hot Lap, I'm willing to bet is 2 things. I bet it's like nothing. Maybe some naphtha or, oh God, I can't put my nose on it. Mineral spirits, no. It's something basic. Probably just something that's putting common conditioning oil inside these tires. Which does make you wonder, wouldn't it be nice if it was a laboratory or somehow you get a hold of these people and find out what all kind of chemicals go into these tires? Because you would think whatever the natural chemical is, the more you dump that into it, the more natural she's going to be. Okay, a little hairy, you know, a little orangutan, nothing wrong with that. I like natural. Pervert. And man, just look at the way it goes in, not greasy, which is the main thing. I think I've had so much of an issue. Earlier in the day on Saturday, first thing Saturday, if y'all remember, I was pouring the Lambert to it. Straight Lambert, give or take. I should have cut it with something if I was going to go that route. Maybe 50% this, 50% Lambert. But for the most part, I was just pouring Lambert to it. And as soon as I went on the racetrack with that thing slid so freaking fast, it was embarrassing. Which, coming off the track, you had to wash some tires. They were just greasy as they could be. And Brian laughed at me. That's kind of when we got on the blacker stuff. You know, and automatically, tires didn't feel near as greasy. Just had dry bite to them. And my sliding off the racetrack definitely slowed down. So that was, you know, a big lesson learned there. I think in a situation like that, so much chemical gets laid onto the racetrack. Y'all had to see in the video just how black the track was. And I think at that point you were racing on top of chemical. So usually my guess is when you race on top of a chemical, you just about have to be on the same chemical as everybody else, or something that is just not as greasy because you're already on chemical. You know, I don't even know what else I would have tried. Maybe some gas or something as crazy as that sounds, you know, just to kind of get the oils out the tire and getting that dryness to it. But big lesson. That's the main thing you want to take from a race is, yeah, did you get your teeth knocked in and look like a fool once again? Absolutely. But do you cry? Over spilled milk, sometimes. You know, if it spills on my rug or something, I'd be pissed. You know, my son the other day got tomato sauce on my rug. And he just comes into the kitchen with a red rag. So I'm like freaking out. Dude, what has happened? Is that a bloody toast? Like, no, I spilled breadstick sauce all in the living room. I'm trying to clean it up. I'm like, what? More or less, he took the drops and he smeared it and he painted my rug. I was really pissed off at him. So I did cry over a little spilled milk that day. And more or less, we learned something. And I feel like between the camber, the chemical, and the ride height, I guess you could say, with the spindle, I learned more that weekend than I have in a long time. Also learned on the junior, pretty much when it comes to tough or when my kids start racing, I'm going to take a tire so freaking thin and I'm just going to pound it with just an aggressive medium-based chemical. Absolutely, every time. We're going to Alma. I'm going to get him on an older tire, thin as crap, and I'm literally going to stick his dad in the trailer with a torch and we're going to burn in some chemical. So definitely the more I go racing with him, the more I realize you got to have a thin tire, and it's got to be a tire full of chemical, lots of chemicals, because it is chemical warfare out there. World 100 was extremely, I don't know what to say, it whacked this year. I don't necessarily know it was anybody's fault, but it was not good for go-kart racing. And weekends like that hurt me because, believe it or not, I really freaking care about the sport. I think people's got the wrong idea from this channel that it's more than what it really is. And really all this channel is about is, for one, to help people learn about go-kart racing, and to be, which is most important, meaning anything, help stop, you know, I don't know how to say it, strokes like myself, people that are struggling from quitting racing. Because I see that so much. People want to get in the sport, they get into it, they get their freaking teeth kicked out their mouth, and next thing you know, everything is for sale. And I just don't think you can get in this sport. If you're getting into this sport, or if you have just gotten to the sport, do not come in here with high hopes unless you've got retarded money and you're going to go pay Matt Connell, or you're going to go pay JT Stillwagon, or you're going to go pay Jerry Mullis, or any of them other guys. Bubba, you are going to suck. It's just that simple. Unless you're some freak of nature like Ron Moon or, you know, Blaze Martin, D. Pascal, the chance of you just coming and outsmarting these guys are none. And the reason that has become is money has become such a big part of go-kart racing, to the point that people are making legit living off of it just by winning races, and they do it every weekend. You know, that's all they do is go to races. They freaking keep data books. They're getting go-karts for free. They're representing this guy, and they're just winning freaking races. And money is the root of that, because it's now, other than like it used to be, where you just go to a race for a trophy, have a good time. People had to work real jobs. So there wasn't just like one guy, that's all he did for a living. Maybe a few guys that worked for people's stuff, but not actually winning money to fund their living. It made things a little easier. There's more people in the sport, which, you know, obviously made it back harder because a freaking Grand National, I'm sure, was over 100 entries. But for the most part, there was no big money on the line like there is on now. You can go Saturday night racing and race for $500. And this crap thing is, a lot of people will say, I don't know if I want to go there this week, and it only pays $400. I don't take my stuff out the stable unless there's at least $2,500 here, and it's killing racing. You know, can I fix it? I don't know. Do I have grand ideals? I think so. I really do think so. Now we going out them Saturday night digs, ain't nothing wrong with that. It's the best racing there is, if you ask me. That's the people that make up racing. People that make up racing are not the 10 guys that are winning every weekend. People that make up racing is the hundreds of thousands of people that are just Saturday night digs, having a good time, keeping karting at the roots, and just keeping it basic. We're not big timers. We ain't gonna stick our nose up to you like we're Formula One drivers walking around a go-kart track in a non-fire retardant suit. Okay, do I look that foolish to you? I'll stick my nose down and say howdy do and shake your hand. And so will Chop House Titanium, and so will A&M Fiberglass, and so will Blankenship Asphalt, and so will Firewater Chemicals, and so will Shantytown Hot Rods and Fabrication, and so will 71 Trophy Club, and so will Clot Synthetic Lubricant. So what are you people waiting on? You want to join in on this movement? Like I said, we're taking donations. We're hoping to pick up a 25 Charger Rogue in the next week or so. Is she used? Barely, just like I like them. Hey, barely used. So please, if you are interested, You can reach us. You know where to reach us at, superdupersouthern@gmail.com. Or if you don't want to do that, go to superdupersouth.com and buy yourself some merch. As always, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for everything you do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and go have a good weekend. Ears started itching.